Hey guys, this is your girl Cindy and her husband, and we're here to talk to you about things. Best intro ever.
Best intro. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. You're tuned in with Cindy and John. This is my husband for you guys who don't know, and this year we have a new house. So we've had this house for a year and a half now, probably.
So this year it's a new house.
So it's like, it's still kind of new, I think. That's considered new. Anyways, during this time, we have been renovating this house, and it's been a lot of work.
I've been renovating this house.
We, i.e. mostly John, some of me, we've been renovating this house, and it's been a learning curve, especially for me because I don't know a lot about renovation. So in this video, we want to share some tips and things we've been learning along the way. And hopefully if you're trying to renovate in the future or just DIY stuff yourself, you guys can take away some of these tips as well.
Awesome video. Thank you guys for showing up today, and peace.
So one of my biggest things is the budget. So we're saving a lot of money by doing our own stuff. John kind of talked about what the numbers would look like, had somebody come in and change our floors, painted all our walls, changed our sinks.
Repainted the kitchen.
We just did everything.
Replumbed all the sinks.
Yeah.
Replaced all the sinks in the entire house.
It would have cost a fortune. So we learned that we saved a lot of money doing it ourselves. Granted, he's also very handy. So, you know, it's not always easy if you're not the most handiest person, but if you do have skills, or you can go on YouTube, you can learn these things yourself.
Yeah, so big price difference. You can look at it as like a part-time job. And also you are saving on, if you got a part-time job to cover all that money, you'd have to pay taxes on that. So it's kind of like a tax-free part-time job renovating your house. And then when you sell your house, if it's your primary residence and you've had it for 2 years, you don't pay taxes on the gains. So if you reno it and do a good job and increase the value of your house, all that money does come back to you. So those are some strong reasons. And then the other thing is, of course, getting it the way you want.
Yes.
The whole reason to do a reno at all is to get it the way that you want. And you can make the timelines work for you. So it can be very challenging lining up trades and getting stuff in around your work schedule or your travel schedule or whatever it is.
Yeah, so you definitely get more of what you want when you do it yourself. I mean, you can buy your house ready, and that's fine too, but I always think if you buy it just kind of turnkey, you're gonna have some stuff you don't always like. And I'm not saying our house right now is perfect, but we do have a lot.
You said it was great.
It is very, very nice, don't get me wrong, and we do have pretty much the stuff we like. You can make it the way you want it when you do it that way. So that's something I learned by doing it right now, because now I love this house. And adding on to that point, having a vision for the future house. So when I came in, I was looking at this house and I was like, this looks too old. I don't know about this. I can't see that looking nice. It's too dark. And then John had to kind of reshape my mind and say, hey, but if you add that, that can make it look nice. So not like being sold on it's gonna look like this forever, and just reminding yourself that the vision can come together in the future.
The house, overall, the biggest thing was it was a little dark for you.
Yeah.
And so you can do a lot with changing out your paint. Just going from a darker paint to a lighter paint makes a huge difference. Sometimes you can get that upscale look or closer to the look that you want with very limited work.
Yeah.
And then you need to look at all that and try those things before you go to like a full on, we're tearing out the floors, you know, removing walls and stuff like that. Which is something to think about very carefully. And on all of the HGTVs, they're always popping out walls. Oh, we'll just knock that one out. And
and that was something we had discussed initially when we bought this house. I'm like, I don't think we'll have that wall anymore. But then we looked at it, and it didn't make sense to take it out because one, that's how the house was structured. So we put our house with the falling apart.
It's definitely a structural wall, so it would have been very expensive to replace it with like a beam or what have you.
Yeah.
And because it was part of the kitchen, yes, it would have been nice to have more of an open concept, but we would have lost a whole bunch of cabinet space.
Yeah, we would have lost cabinet space, and then not to mention the time. So you also need to consider when you're doing reno, how much time things are gonna take, because I didn't realize how long things took in this whole process, and sometimes it can get overwhelming. But if you're okay with, hey, it might take 3 months until your house is done, then that's fine. But had we had done that, I think we would have been living in the construction zone a lot longer.
If you cook, and we love to cook, if you cook, you need to think about renos that impact the availability of your kitchen, right? So repainting all our kitchen cabinets meant that we couldn't use the kitchen for a while. And
we ended up having to buy food because it was like, our cooking stuff wasn't available.
Yep, it was covered in drop cloths and this, that, and the other. Tearing out a wall, that's gonna disrupt your kitchen. Now, if you're doing a renovation in a guest bathroom, that may not be such a big deal, right? So you need to think about how much your renovation is gonna impact your living and then figure that out in your timing, right? So for example, my original goal was to get the kitchen cabinets painted while Cindy was traveling for races. And the schedule just didn't work out that way. And so we ended up, you know, kind of having to work around the not being able to cook issue.
Yeah, but let's tell them how when I did come back, I was able to help so much, babe.
You did. You were very helpful. I was delighted to have you back. A couple of things that you really made a huge difference on was tearing out the tile floor.
Yes, that was so much work.
Cindy really stepped up on that. We were actually running 2 machines simultaneously. She was running one over there, I was running one over there. It saved a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then on the kitchen cabinets, she was, you know, painting and doing prep work while I was working on another portion of it. So she could work on one side while I was working on the other side, kind of thing. And we weren't each other's way.
Yeah.
That's one of the things is you need to think about when it makes sense to get multiple people in on a task and when you're just in each other's way.
Right, because there was times where John would be like, okay, since it's like very specific work now, I think I'm going to focus on it because he's more experienced on this and we want to make sure it looks nice. And then if I try to do things at the same time, it might have just caused him in his way, essentially. So there's times he told me to, like, he said, okay, we're good for this task. And other times where it's like, okay, this would be helpful if you were to, you know, do that while I do this, you know? So communication.
And there was some where it was like, I can't do this without your help. I need another person. I can't do it by myself. And then there are other situations, a big one being like the cabinet door prep, where having 2 people made it go really fast because the paint sprayer is so quick that trying to do it all yourself is challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
So having her on certain tasks made a huge difference.
So here's a question. What did you learn about communication between us during this time?
Whenever I'm asking you about a specific task, I have to have like a specific idea of, hey, I need your help with this. It's going to take roughly this long, and then this is all that's involved in it, instead of just kind of like, you know,
here's the tools, enjoy.
We'll hang out together and, you know, work on the kitchen. And
yeah, we would have gotten nowhere. I would have been like, okay. I think for me too, what was helpful when you did was you explained specific things. Like if I need to go to the garage while his hands were busy, I could go get like a tool, or I can go get something. I didn't always know what those tools were, so he would specifically explain that for me and use layman's terms, as I say, or terms that actually meant something to me, because I'm not a handy person. I'm not handy, but I'm not as experienced with tools.
I needed to tell her ahead of time, this is what this tool is, what this is what this is what this is. Otherwise, it's just kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Go get me the woodja can go bajiba later.
It is nice though, because now that he's explained those things to me, like for instance, if he's traveling, which doesn't happen much, but anyways, if he's traveling.
Don't say that.
If he's traveling and I'm here, I can go fix something. I don't have to be like, oh, well, I don't know what that is, and I don't know how to fix that. Like, I can actually understand the different tools and what works or fix things in our house. So that's been kind of helpful to kind of understand different things now. So this process has taught me a lot. So
woman empowerment.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about when planning out your work is figure out what tools you'll need for the job and factor that in. So one of the big things about DIY is you need to be real about the parts that you're not gonna do. I feel pretty comfortable doing most things. I feel comfortable with electrical, a lot of people don't.
He's an electrical engineer.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you know how to wire a house.
Yeah,
there's plenty of electrical engineers that shouldn't wire their house. Ask the electricians, they'll tell you. So that's something that I'm comfortable with, but that doesn't mean that's something that everybody's comfortable with. It can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing and you haven't, you know, worked on it. But, for example, our countertops, it is not saving money for you to try to do the countertops yourself. So we paid someone to do the granite, we outsourced that because they had the tools, they knew what they were doing, and they're able to, you know, polish it and cut it. And the way they did it is you paid for the stuff that you used. So yes, we were paying for their labor, but if we had tried to just buy a slab,
not experienced,
probably would have fallen on us and squished us first, because those things are stupidly expensive, right? Whereas they have the tools for all that.
No, I'm pretty strong. I could have done it.
You are pretty strong. Do your research. YouTube is fantastic for that. Looking at videos about what other people did and how well it worked out for them. I can't tell you how many YouTube videos I've wandered through looking at, you know, people's reviews of whether it worked out for them.
I mean, you learn how to paint through YouTube, essentially.
Pretty much.
And it's like amazing.
Pretty much, yeah. I watched Idaho Painter and a bunch of other dudes and just kept watching their content and learned how to use a airless sprayer, which I'd never used before. Yep. You learn a lot there, and you learn mistakes that were made that you can avoid. So you can learn about tools that are out there that you may not know about, or options that are out there. So for example, solar tubes, I don't know when I came across them first, but did a whole bunch of research, and they're easier to install and use than like a skylight. So, but if you're gonna install it, you need to be pretty comfortable with roofing because putting a hole in your roof is a really, really bad idea.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous when we was up there, I'm not gonna lie. I'm just, be careful.
But that's something where, you know, you might want to hire somebody in because they have the tools and you don't have to go get surgery.
Right, no, that's true.
Some jobs, you want to hire somebody else to do it because they've got the tools and experience to do it, and it actually will end up being cheaper if they do it.
And also, I think just adding on to that, like, things take longer than you think. That, I don't know if we actually we kind of talked about that throughout the video, but but I want to emphasize, like, things, you have to really budget out your time as well, because if you're just like, oh, that should only take 20 minutes and it takes you 3 days, then you're gonna be frustrated with the process. You're gonna be like, why did I do that? But if you, like, I guess, if you don't expect it to be short, then you'll be thoroughly surprised.
So a great example of that is the paint sprayer. Paint sprayers are stupid fast. And if you watch a video of people using paint sprayers, you're like, that's amazingly fast. However, every time you use a paint sprayer, you have to set it up and then you have to clean it out so that it doesn't get all gummed up and you have to throw it away. Mm-hmm. And that clean out and setup, at least for me, I'm not as fast as some people at it. The clean up, thing up, all that can add at least an hour to the job.
Yeah, no,
right?
Yeah, it took longer. I did not realize how much work it took when he did that. But he sprayed, it was like 10 seconds. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so the setup was the biggest part. That's kind of how it is with this video. Like, this video is, you're gonna watch this, but the setup of everything. So anyways,
yeah, getting everything in place.
Exactly.
So getting all your materials and all that, oh, that's another good one to touch on. One of the big things that I learned was Home Depot and Lowe's have very generous return policies. If you buy stuff and it's not open, you can return it pretty much no question asked. For example, when I was doing the roof, I bought twice as much roof or caulking as I thought I was gonna need, so that I didn't have a problem. And I'm up on the roof and I run out of materials, and now
it's already annoying to get off of it.
And it's late and this and that and the other, you lose your schedule and you can't finish it. That's particularly valid with like paint, caulk, things like when you're in the middle of it and you run out of the product, like you're hosed. Yeah. It's hard to like take it up.
Yeah. In our kitchen reno, we showed how we started off doing one thing, cleaned it off, and then we ended up doing the sticky tape, muscle bound tape. And so when I went to Lowe's while he was cleaning all that up, because we didn't have it, I picked up 2 because we never knew how much we would need in that process. And we ended up using it.
We ended up using 3.
Oh, we ended up using more. Yeah, exactly. So if you need 4, just grab 4 and you can return it, but just be...
If you need 4, get 5.
Yes.
And make sure you set it to the side.
Do
not open it.
Do not forget to return it either.
But do not forget to return it. Make sure you have like a box or something that you can put in of
all your stuff.
Yeah, and so the next time you go to grab something there, okay, we finished this part of the project, we're returning this. Yeah. That can save you a lot of time and a lot of trips.
You are handier than you think. At least I was. Yep. I figured out that I can do things that I'm not in the past. I would have been like, oh, well, I'm just not handy, so. But once we started doing it, I'm like, actually, it's not that hard. Like, you can do it. Especially if you go on YouTube or you figure something out or somebody
will show you on YouTube how to do it. And if you do that, read about it, the more information you can get and then figure out exactly what you need to do, the more you'll avoid potential issues.
We hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will probably have some more projects in the future, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.